Hey everyone. So exciting news to report in. We just had our first victory on Pokemon Showdown using the bot. So here, if we go to our instant replay, um, yeah, I'm pretty stoked because the bot has certainly not been doing very good overall. It's been losing a lot of games, and a lot of them very poorly too. Like it'll be about to win, and it'll just switch out. It'll be, picking boneheaded moves that are like not very effective or just totally immune. Um, so this was a pretty cool battle to watch, though. I feel like it was doing a pretty good job overall, but like even there, you could see it literally switches into a Pokemon and then instantly switches back out. So there's still a lot of things to do. Um, After this battle finishes, I will go back and show you some of what I've changed about the network and how come it's starting to perform a little bit better. Um, I guess one thing that I have changed is that I've been training it against the simple heuristics player, which is part of the Pokemon environment um, that I've been using. And so um, the Poke environment is just available online. You can actually pull it up real fast after this. But it's basically a player that does some basic calculations and it behaves a lot more like an actual player than things like the random bot or the max damage bot. And so by training it against that, I think it's learning how to play against actual people a little bit better. Um, and I've also added in a couple of new inputs. So one thing that I realized was that I was not inputting the opponent's previous move's damage against the current Pokemon. I was only ever calculating it against the party. And so I think part of what it was doing was it was learning that it would be advantageous to switch to a different party member to avoid being hurt as much, but that would ignore cases where the current party member is already the optimum one to be out there. So I think potentially that was saving it some of the, adding that in helped it to learn not to switch away as much. And then the other thing I added in was I finally added in the speed stat. And so, speed is obviously a huge factor, but I just hadn't been incorporating it at all before. I tried two different ways of using speed. One of just calculating whether you were expected to go first or second, but for some reason, putting in the individual stats seemed to work better for me. And so we can see here the final move, Golem decides to use Earthquake, which is super effective, and Ash Ketchum AI wins its very first match ever. So uh, definitely super excited about this. Just jumping back over to the code to show off some of the benchmarks and things. So um, like I said, I have been training against the simple heuristics player. So over 10,000 matches in its current configuration, it won um, 1337 battles and 1624 battles. There tends to be a little bit of variance in that, but so around like roughly 13 to 16% of battles it was winning against a simple heuristics player, which is not great, but against the logic that is within the simple heuristics player, that's pretty impressive. Like this guy is incorporating things like stage hazards, estimating matchups, it knows about like, you know, stats and what advantageous switches are. So there's a lot going on in this spot. And again, this is provided in the Poke environment, um, which is like the open source um, learning framework that I'm using for a lot of this stuff. And so the other thing I also put in was I'm actually putting in the amount that moves will heal the user now. And so I think this is helpful because it also allows the bot to know with more certainty what its moves are going to do. And again, with that added in roughly 16% win rate. But when I trained that against, or rather when I tested that against the max damage player, using the network that was trained on the simple heuristics player over 10,000 matches, it was able to win 752 matches against the max damage player, which is really incredible because that's much better than I got by playing against the max damage player and training against it only ever. So by training it against a simple heuristics player for a large number of trials, it seems to be performing even better against the max damage player than just training it against the max damage player. So yeah, some really cool things discovered over the past few days. And that's it for today.